Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to my guide to look at Precision Farming 3.0, more from a console perspective, but generally speaking, giving you some help, advice, whatever you might need. Also, patch 1.8 came out with some extra bits of equipment, machinery, some changes that was relevant because a lot of stuff in the patch helped for things that need to be done for Precision Farming 3.0. Have a look with me, MrSealyp. So, ladies and gentlemen, precision farming and all that it entails. Kind of. This will be a whistle-stop tour through. You might be new to precision farming, you might be new to the game. I'll try and cover all the aspects of it, focusing a little bit more on the newer aspects, but I'll try and cover everything from start to finish. I may miss some things. If I do, I apologise. This is the console version of this, obviously, because we were offered early access to this if you were on PC, but I play on console, so I got access to it today. Now, it depends when this is going to be filmed. You might not see this till tomorrow, but it's a good access thing to be looking at. It might help you out for what you are doing moving forward. So, what do we need to know first? Well, I'm going to jump into here because I think I'm going to do this in this order. This is my personal feeling on it. What we need to know first is what are our menus. So if we come into this menu here, at the top, we've got the new section here for precision farming. Now, this field already, I have done something too. You are going to need accurate soil information. The first thing you need to do before you do anything else is get soil samples done. You can either do them yourself or you can purchase them. To purchase them, you need to click on the little icon in the middle of the field that you own. When you click on that, you'll get that menu come up there, and it will say purchase soil information, that one that's highlighted at the top. So I can do that, and it will tell you how much it's going to be. Now, you might decide I'm going to get a piece of equipment and I'll do it cheaper. And sometimes when we get modded ones of these that do much bigger scanning areas, it's cheaper to use a modded one. But for the sake of doing this, I'm going to purchase my soil information. You're going to need that no matter what. So we're going to purchase it. And here's our first bit of information. Now, something else you need to know, which is new on this version, on 3.0, is tramlines. So if we go... why has that disappeared? There we go. Tramlines. Now, tramlines is important when it comes to actually seeding. Now, if you want tramlines, if you don't worry about it. If I press X on that now, and that's under this menu here, so you click on the middle of your map or your field, whichever one it is, that's fine, and it will give you that screen will come up. You can purchase soil information, then click on tramlines. You can leave it on no if you want. Take it right back off and have none if you don't want tramlines at all. If you want tramlines for a bit more immersion, this is where you add them in. So you already need to, in advance, decide what sprayer unit you're going to use for doing your weeding, for doing your spot application for weeding, for doing your fertilizing, liquid fertilizer. You can still fertilize using solid fertilizer machines, the same with that. You can still put fertilizer down using liquid manure or solid manure. That's up to you. But this is where you pick what you want it to be. Now, the one I've gone for is 30 meters. So I'm going to leave that on 30. I've done the same, I think, with my lime. And I think the slurry spreader is also a 30 meter I've gone for. So I'm going to click OK on there on 30 meters. If you don't want tramlines again, that's not important. But that's going to come into effect later when we come to do the seeding. Down to the bottom there, if we click on another matter, get rid of that, it says environmental score. We're trying to get our environmental score up to 100 or as close to 100 as possible. Where it says details, press triangle, that's the things we're looking at. Nitrogen is your fertilizing. pH value is your lime. Weed control is your weeds. You want them gone. Soil sampling, we've done. And then tillage, you do not want to plough. With precision farming, you want to avoid ploughing like the plague. Now, even if it says when you go onto the field info, if it says plough, don't plough. It's not relevant with precision farming on. And what you want to try and use are seeders and planters that have direct drill. It will say no previous cultivating ploughing is required, and you drill straight into the stubble from the previous crop, or you can mulch and then do it. So your environmental score should go up. If your environmental score goes up, you get bonuses on your crops for yield, for payments and things like that. Very important. So that's what we're trying to sort of aim for. If I press try again, get rid of that. Now, on this menu here, we've already gone across to our precision farming. If we come down a menu, see it, top left, we've got our soil types. So here's our different soil types. We've got loamy sand, sandy loam, silty clay, and soil sample taken. That's not relevant at the moment. Now, each of those types of ground will do better for different crops. So you can do absolutely everything you need to, and it can say perfect, but depending on the crop type and the soil type, there will be a limit to what you can get bonus-wise. But as you can see, we've got our soil sampling down. Those are our soil types. pH, as I've already said, that's your liming. We're going to do that in a moment. Nitrogen, that's your fertilizing. But unlike the standard game where you've got 2 fertilizing states, with this, you can put it down in 1, and if you set it on automatic, it will put down the exact amount you need with the various different sensors. We'll get into sensors and stuff in just a moment. But you don't do your fertilizing until your crop is in the ground, because until the crop is in the ground, it doesn't know how much nitrogen is required for that crop. Some crops require more nitrogen than others, so until you've seeded, you don't do your fertilizing. So, but there is a caveat to that, which we'll get to in just a moment. And then we go across one, that's yield. That's what I've got off this at the moment, and you can see where the soil types are. I'm just getting the wheat off that, so we're good to go again. And then we've got our seed rate, and that's when we actually come to do our seeding. Depending on the soil type, will give you different seed rates depending on the soil type. Again, that's more relevant in a little while. Now we've got some new equipment and machinery in the Precision Farming 3.0. Now again, I'm not going to show you all of them, but there are a few. One being this, which is a slurry digestate spreader, and it comes with this. It comes together with this, but it can be separated, as you can see. This will work with changing systems. So these here, so that trailer bed will work with these changing systems. However, that trailer bed won't work with that. So that's something to be aware of. So what we need to be looking at is what's more relevant for precision farming is here under seeders and planters. You want to be looking for ones that say, like this one, this seeder offers the possibility to seed directly. No previous cultivating or ploughing is necessary. That's what's referred to as a direct drill. You want to be using those if possible. One thing I will say about precision farming, it's great and it adds a lot of realism to it. So again, yeah, you want to be trying to find the ones that say they're a direct drill. It's that whilst it is great and it's realistic and it's that new, it's how farming needs to go moving forward, it does stop you using a lot of equipment and machinery that the game has to offer. So if you want to use a wide range of everything, then leave your game normal, standard if you want. But if you want to go a bit more sort of hyper realistic, I guess. Now this is where another thing has changed quite dramatically. So these are new. So these sprayers are added in. But as with our historical sprayers, now this is not necessarily going to be the case with all modded ones. But what I'll show you is that's one of the new ones. We've got our working width and stuff, but this is what we're going to now see and spray. Put that on, that says the bottom there. With this configuration, each nozzle of the sprayer will only turn on when there are actual weeds below the nozzle. That's spot application for weeding. So that's what the see and spray is. And then our pulse width modulation. The pulse width modulation enables the sprayer to control each individual nozzle separately. This enables uniform application regardless of speed and cornering. Also, you've got row shut off as well now. So I think it does it with seeding already, but you don't actually see it. But if you're spraying over a bit you've already done, it will shut off the sections on areas you've already sprayed, which is pretty cool. And then obviously this is not a new one, that one there, but it does have the new features on it. And this is another one as well, the Iceria Pro Compact. So this detects the real nitrogen demand of your crops. While driving with this sensor over your field, you'll get more precise information for your nitrogen, your fertilizer, that is required. So that's for your liquid fertilizer application. Now, for a sprayer, that's fine. One like this that has that on it. However, for these, it doesn't have that. But what you can do, if we come down to here, like I say, this is a bit of a whistle stop because there's so much information to get in here. You can get one of these. you can get a crop sensor that goes on the front of your tractor, and that does the same thing. So that will do the same as what some of the sprayers already have, but the sprayers that don't have them, you can get one of those to put on there. Now, as far as we've already looked at soil sampling, I purchased my soil samples. If you want to do your soil sampling yourself, you can use one of these. So the Arcelia Scout, and you go out with that on a 3-point link, it opens up, it drops down, takes a soil sample, and it does it in a radius, and you have to do multiple ones of those across your field. And then once you've done those, you then send those soil samples off to be tested, and then you'll get your soil sampling back like we did. But on much bigger fields, on bigger farms, that can come in very expensive, because that only goes out to a certain range. I can't remember what the range is on the standard one, but it can get quite expensive. Now, I think we should also have, I'm just going to double check this, I think if it's been amended on some of the tractors now, we should have the option for, there you go, on your tractors there, Arcelia Pro Compact. So if you don't want the front sensor on there, you can get them on there, and it puts them up on your wing mirrors. You see up on the wing mirror arms, it's the same thing, it just puts them on there. They're quite expensive to have all these things on there, and I would say most of the base game tractors should have that option now. If we come down, there you go. So there we go. That's for that. So that just gives you far greater fidelity, and it means with precision farming on, you will use far less fertilizer, far less lime, on all your applications, and that's another reason for precision farming. Farmers don't want to be spraying this stuff everywhere. It's expensive. They only want to put it where it's needed, in the places it's needed, to get the best yield they can with the least input as possible. That's kind of what they're aiming for. So, and like I say, that's not everything. So if we go into here as well, we have then got under slurry tanks. There you go. The John Deere manure sensing. Now, not all of them have these, but this is the same thing. That will give you more accurate nitrogen levels for when you're putting nitrogen in the ground. They try and steer you away from doing slurry and digestate. I don't think the actual manure spreaders have them then, do they? That's interesting. Just the slurry spreaders. Although that is a manure spreader. Oh yeah, the other thing that's new as well is cover crops. So what we're going to do is go into this menu, and we're going to come down to here. I've got my crop calendar on, I've got my seasons on, because what you get a bonus for now as well, you can get an extra payment for, and that's doing a cover crop, which is your oilseed radish, which is about halfway down. Now, I was reliably informed that you need to put this into the ground in February. That being said, that's showing it's planting and harvest season, planting from March through to October and harvesting any time. So I'm going to put it in the ground now and see what happens with this. That puts nitrogen into the ground, so you plant it, and that will automatically put some nitrogen in for you. It may not put it all in for you, but it does mean that when you come to do your chemical version of it, whatever it might be, you need to put far less in. So a cover crop, they're trying to encourage you to use a cover crop. I don't think the payments are particularly great on these, but again, you still need your soil sampling done as well. So what I'm actually going to do first, before I do anything else, I'm going to go back into here, go to there, and if we go onto our pH, I'm going to check our pH levels, because I think we're going to need to do some liming first. Once the liming's done, I'm going to do oilseed radish in that field just to see about the yield. And then what we're going to do is we're going to have a go with the slurrying on this field, and I'll show you the levels, the slurry levels, what it tells you. Then we're going to put a crop in the ground, and that will show you the variable seed rate. And then what we're going to do is we're going to put some liquid fertilizer in the ground, which should give us our perfect nitrogen level set on automatic. And then when weeds grow, we'll do some spot application of weeding. So that should give us a full range of everything. So what we're going to do at the moment, turn that on. 42 meters on this. And once we get onto the field, it should show bottom left. It should, there you go. So you can see now. And it says onto the left-hand side, I've got application rate. It says 0 at the moment. pH level, it should be on automatic. Deactivate automatic application rate. No, I want it on automatic. I'm going to put this on because I want to make sure I'm putting this down correctly. And what you should see as we go, bottom left, you'll see that changing. Now we are on automatic application rate for our lime at the moment. I'm using, this is part of the Colossus pack. This is just for speed of getting it done for the video. And what we should see, if I turn that off, if we hop out, bottom right, that shows your pH levels. So our pH level is not great, and our nitrogen level is not great. So if we come over here, it should now say on there you go, pH is now saying good, okay, and good in certain locations. There you go. So it's going to again depend on your soil type. There you go, that's saying pH bad. So that's what we're putting our lime down for, to try and get our pH level to be showing as well. I'm sure you say perfect. I'm trying to remember now. There is something very cool. Oh, I just missed it, haven't I? I think we might have finished the harvesting. I'll go into the harvester and show you that, because with the help menu open, top left, and you can see all your applications as it's going on, which I think is very, very cool. Is with the harvester, there's a new thing there. It shows you your tonnage per hectare. What else did it show? It showed your engine load, your real load. It's incredible. I was really, really surprised and shocked. It just adds those extra levels. Now, what I'm going to do, I'm going to do this, the rest of this off camera, because obviously you don't need to see me just liming. I'm going to lime the other field as well, over there. Make sure that one's done. That had alfalfa in it. I'm going to put the cover crop in that one. Like I say, I'm just curious to see what it's like. Harvester's just over there. What I'll do is I'll stop there for a moment. You can see on the bottom left how that is affecting it. If we go onto our map again, there you go. You can see our pH is changing. We've got some weird areas here, haven't we? But that should change. Now, I'm going to just hop over into the harvester just to show you something very quickly. Yeah, look at that menu, top left, with the help window open. That's saying 6.9 tonne per hectare. 63%, I think that was on the... Well, that can't be engine load because the engine's not on. But you've got 22.1 hectares and 26.3. One will be engine hectares and one will be harvester hectares. So anytime the harvester's running but it's not harvesting, that's your engine hectares, and then you've got your hectares that your actual harvester has run stuff through. So that's brilliant. I think that's incredible up there. Start the engine. Yeah, why it's saying 63%? Because when that was actually harvesting, that number was going up and down. So why it's sitting on, or maybe it was 63%. Generally, it was 63% across the board. But while it was harvesting, it was fluctuating. But I'm assuming that will go up and down, where it says 6.9. I think THA is tons per hectare, isn't it? I'm sure that's what it means. So I'm going to get this off the field, but I just wanted to show you that menu because I thought that was rather awesome. I'm going to get the rest of the liming done here, liming done on the other one. We'll get the cover crop down on the other one, or the oilseed radish. And then what we'll do, we'll look at this field. I'm going to show you slurrying first, because putting, and you want to do, if you're going to do manure, solid manure or liquid manure, you want that down before you seed if you're going to do it. But like I said, that won't give you your maximum nitrogen required. But if you've got loads of it, if you've got cows and you want to put some down first, you can. My feeling on that is, I suppose it saves you money, but you're going to be saving money anyway, because putting down your liquid fertilizer, if you're going to do liquid fertilizer or solid fertilizer, chemical fertilizers, you're going to be using less anyway, because you've got all this new sensing equipment, so it should only put down exactly what you need. And you can do it all in one pass. So if you want to put liquid fertilizer, slurry, or solid manure down first, you can. But like I say, we'll have a look at that in a moment. Let me just get all this done, and I'll be back with you. Sorry, me again. Just I know that people are going to. There'll be comments. I know there will. I nearly forgot. RTK stations. We've got RTK stations are back. They are under build mode and tools. They are here. Station provides your vehicles with a better GPS signal, helps your AI helpers to drive more precise and do their work faster. Now that used to give you like an 11% boost or something in precision speed of doing the work and stuff. I was again reliably informed that those aren't working properly. I'm not sure But if you put one down, potentially it should help and keep everything more accurate, more realistic, real life type thing. And then what we're going to do is come back into here, because something else I was going to say was, there's a lot more to this, and if you're a stats person, if you like your stats and you're into that kind of stuff, you can really deep dive into all of this. This is not a deep dive. I like the whole environmental score thing. I like it being more realistic. I like all that kind of stuff. If you really like deep diving, on this menu here, we did our soil information. We can clear the yield map if we want to. Tramlines we've looked at. You got this economic analysis. You can really go to town on this. You can reset it. You can change certain values, and you can see your inputs, the result you've had, your yields, the total cost, everything. So if you really, really want to dive into all your economics of how it all works, like Football Manager for farming, Farming Manager, that's there as well. And I just thought I'd better show that menu, because I'm sure people say you didn't show everything. And like I say, there'll be bits I've missed. I know there will, and apologies if I have. And I know I'm going very, very quickly, but I want to try and get it all in. So my liming is done. I'm going to set this off to do oilseed radish in this field next. Just to point out, remember, you are not chasing a colour. You're not trying to get the field to all be green. What you're chasing is what it says bottom right, and where it says pH value. It's difficult to see on there, isn't it? It says pH value good. There were a couple okay, bad in some places, but some places it did come up perfect. It's interesting how it does vary. Some places are saying bad, but yes, it's on these bits where it's blue. I wonder why those patches. Actually, let's have a quick check. Let's go back to, no, stay on there. Soil types. No. I wonder why those patches are bad. Maybe it's just that's just the way things are. It's interesting. I seem to be following the edges between different soil types. That's curious. So if we get out of this patch here, we should get onto a section where it should be all more green, saying okay and perfect. It's a curious one. But that's what you're chasing. You're trying to get good, perfect, as much as possible across the field as you can. But it seems to be on those blue areas is where we're getting the bads and the okays. Now, this cover crop is supposed to improve the nitrogen in the soil. That's your fertilizing bit. So we're going to do this in this one. And then I'm going to show you some, I'm going to put slurrying in part of this one. And that should show you that you won't get your full nitrogen. And then what we're going to do is the seeding. So what we should also see on here, if we come back to this one here, and we come down again, we should go on to this one here, which will be our seed rate. And as we go across the field, you should see the seed rate change, again, depending on the soil type. So what we're going to do is start the engine. I think I'm going to hire a worker on this one, so we'll see how this goes. I've got it set on oilseed radish, haven't I? I have. If I'd actually put the seed in it, that would have helped, wouldn't it? So I've got seed in. Something else I wanted to point out at this point. You know, we did the tramline bit earlier. If you look top left, underneath where it says variable seed rate, which should come up in a moment, it should tell you what it's doing. It says no tram lines defined, because we're not on the field yet. Now we set our tram lines at 30. If we go onto the field, it should then say tramline width 30. So this should now seed, and allowing for 30-meter spacings, this should automatically put tram lines in for us. Now what I did also notice, which I wasn't sure if it would be the case, is on our fields, where do we have a crop already? Yeah, look, these ones I've already put, these got tram lines in. I didn't do that. That's done that automatically. The map's already decided it's going to put tram lines in. That's a curious one. Not on all of them. Anyway, so let's hire a worker now. There we go. So you see there, that's showing that top left, the key, that's low. And then when it changes into a different seed, let's go on to there. When it goes to a different soil type, you'll see the colour change in a moment, because it will be a different seed rate depending on the soil type. At least it should be. Maybe it doesn't do it for all seed radish. Maybe just puts it blanket. We'll see when we do the other seed. Anyway, just going to carry on putting all seed radish in, and then we'll see what happens with this. Now, I can't remember with all seed radish, normally you cultivate it in. But as far as I understood it, with precision farming, cultivating and stuff like that is bad. So I'm assuming you cultivate it in. I don't think you'll seed over the top of the all seed radish. I think you cultivate it in and then you will do your seeding. I'm sure that's pretty much how it should work. So, let's cut across to our slurrying, shall we? Let's hook onto that, the new rig. Hook onto that. I'm sure I set this. I'm sure this was at 30 meters as well. Not that it matters too much. I'm going to do the slurrying a little bit. Actually, no, I'll do it this side, and then we'll do the other bits the other side. Just like I say, you want to, if you're going to do slurrying or you're going to do muck spreading, you want to do it before you put the crop in the ground. And again, as well, I'm trying to remember now whether or not it always used to be as soon as you did your seeding, you could do your nitrogen, but I'm not sure now whether that's changed and you have to have at least the first growth stage. So you've got to have shoots coming through the ground before you can do the nitrogen. I can't remember now. Like I say, this is kind of, I'm doing it and testing at the same time. So what we're going to do is just put that on. Let's turn that on. Drop that down and do that. Right, so we are applying our digestate. Bottom left, you can see our nitrogen is changing on the ground. But it doesn't know what crop's going to be in the ground. It has no idea. So it's doing like an automatic application of a certain amount. And then once you put your crop in the ground, then it will adjust. I mean, I don't know, it's putting in the slurry, it's saying there, applying slurry amount depending on soil yield potential for loam. So it doesn't know, but it's doing it for the ground type. Whereas when you do it after you put the crop in the ground, let's stop there. When you do it after you put the crop in the ground, it's far more accurate because it knows exactly what it needs to be. So our pH is saying perfect. Nitrogen is saying bad still because it really doesn't know what it requires. But we are putting some down. And as you can see from the map, if we go back to our precision farming and we go to our nitrogen, you can see our nitrogen level has changed. It's not red anymore. It has changed colour. But again, that will change again once the crop's in the ground. But it will mean that when we do it the next time, we won't need to put as much in. What's interesting with this as well, when we said about this one, where it's putting the tram lines in, we should be able to see that. If we go up as well, we go that way. Yeah, look, you can see the tram lines already going in. It's showing you where the tram lines are going to be. So it's already putting the tram lines in as it goes at, it should be 30-metre spacings. It's interesting to see that as that goes down as well. So yeah, with this one, I think I'm going to stop there. That was just to show you that you can do your slurrying, but it's not going to be accurate enough depending on your crop type. So I'm going to stop that there. But it's an option to do it. And again, the point behind that being, in the real world, you would just get a load of slurry down, you get a load of manure down, get some nitrogen into the soil, because then when you do come to put down your solid or your spray of chemical fertilizer, you're using far less again because you've already put some into the ground. That's the plan, at least. So what we're going to do now is start seeding, and we should, I say we should, it's been a bit weird so far, direct drill straight into the stubble from doing the wheat. This one, I need to check on our seasonal. We're in August. We can put canola in the ground, we can put grass in the ground, we can put poplar in the ground. That's it. So until next month, when we can put in some, we can do alfalfa. We can put canola now. We can do barley then. When can we do wheat? I'm sure wheat is is also September. So we can do canola now. Have I got it set on canola? We have got it set on canola. So let's start the engine. Let's unfold it. Again, I'm going to hire a worker for this, make life a little bit easier. I'm not going to do the whole field. I'm curious to see whether this is going to do the variable seed rate as well. I think we can, actually, you know what I'm going to do? Let's do that. Let's do that and that. If I do it myself, we should see, yeah, the variable seed rate. And it's saying tramline width. We're now on the field because I set my tramline width, so it should do that automatically, even if I'm doing it. Let's start that off. Start that off. Drop that down. Right, so you look to the left, you can see the variable seed rate. It's on 2 bars. It's gone down again. It should go back up again. It's on the first bar. It's on green. So again, depending on the soil type, that will change from the green to 2 dots to 3 dots, depending on how much seed it needs to put in the ground for the particular soil type. So it's doing its automatic application now. There, it's gone up to 2 again, back down to 1 again. So you can see that. If I remember when I do the editing, I'll zoom in on that so you can see that changing. So that's your variable seed rate. I'll just slow that down a second, and let's just check on the map to see if it's doing it on here. Seed rate. There you go. You can see it's changed there. You can see where it changed. So as we go across our soil type, it's not doing it for this one. It's not doing it for the. Mind you, it could just be that is actually in the same. I don't think it was in the same band, was it? But you can see where it's changed. Look, the different soil types gives you different seed rates. So I shall continue with this, and then what I'll do, I'll try to put nitrogen in the ground straight away afterwards, but it might well be that I need to let it go to its first growth stage, and then we'll keep an eye out for weeds as well, because once we get some weeds, we can then have a look at doing the spot application, and we can see how the sensors and stuff work with regard to the pulse modulating when we're doing our nitrogen, and then there'll be the weed herbicide application as well, which should just be spot application. That, at least, again, is the plan. Oh, something else before I go. If we go into... Actually, no, it was this menu. Down to here, and we go to Help. Up the top here, under the Help menu, go across one. You've got this whole new section here dedicated to precision farming. So if you're not sure about anything anytime, you can always come in here. There's information and stuff on various different things. There you go. That was to do with the yield map. Current yield in tonnes per hectare. I was right, there you go. As a percentage, harvested area in hectare in this session, total harvested area with this combine. So yeah, you've got the various different things. Variable seed rate, weed control, pulse width modulation, tramlines, nitrogen. There you go. So all the various different things. If you are unsure, you can always go into that menu and you can find some help there. In addition to handy dandy content creators that are at least trying to help. In some way, shape or form. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, time for the next bit. A couple of things to point out. When I spoke earlier on about ploughing and you don't need to do it, you can actually, if you want to, just turn ploughing off. Then it won't come up. So if I come onto the field now, bottom right, it does actually say down there, the top box, it says needs rolling. So this is going to need to be rolled, and I'm going to do it. But what I also want to show you at this point as well is, remember when we set our tram lines, if we go to there, you can see our tram lines. Now, the seeder, where's it gone? Oh, why has it gone over there? Okay, I'm going to have to readjust that. The seeder that I'm using at the moment, I decided to do another sort of test, and using the Kinsey one from Chris S. Riley S. I've been using standard width so far, and I thought, you know what, I'm going to speed this up. So I bought one, or leased one, that had a 50-metre seeding width, which is unrealistic. And because we don't set our tram lines at the seeder, we don't set the tram lines at the sprayer, we set our tram lines in the menu, in here, when we go onto it, as I showed you earlier, clicking on there, and we go down, we set our tram lines here. It doesn't matter, come back out of there, yeah, it doesn't matter. If I go across there now, you'll see it's still putting the tram lines in at our 30-metre spacings, even though at the moment the seed that's going up and down is seeding at 50 metres. It's fine. It will still put your tram lines in as you want to. So what I'm going to do now is, like I say, I'm not sure. Now we've got our crop in the ground. It knows what crop's in the ground, so it should know what nitrogen is required for that crop. I don't know if I can put my liquid fertilizer down now, or whether or not I need to do it at once we've got some shoots through the ground. You can see all the sensors. When I got this, I got all of the various different sensors, all the things that I showed you in the earlier bits. And if we go back down here, and I'll show you again, just I said I don't want to miss anything. If we come over to here, that's what I went with, and I went with 30. Because when we get to doing weed stuff, and if we were going to spray these later on, we've got our tramline set at 30, that'd be perfect. So I've got that on, the Iceria Pro. We've got our weeds seeker on there, which will be for weeds later on if we do herbicides, then the pulse width modulation. So all the stuff there should enable it to apply it regardless of speed and cornering, gets the right application down. We should get that, which gives us our perfect nitrogen levels. It will know exactly what it needs because it's got all the sensors. But again, I will reiterate, if you're not using a self-propelled one, and you decide to use one of these ones, we've still got the various different options on here. But what we don't have is the Iceria, and the Iceria you can either get with the sensor on the front or on the wing mirrors of the tractors. So you can still find whatever you need to. So what we're going to do, we've got a liquid fertilizer in here, we're going to the field. Now remember we put down a little bit of slurry on here. That's what we should be able to do. Again, I'll put these on, do that and that. There we go. So let's turn that on. There you go. Look at that. So that's our pulse width modulation. So that is modulating, and you can see now down the bottom it's going into the green now. So whilst the slurry did go, the digestate went down, it did give us some and it should say top left there, increasing nitrogen level to optimal value for canola on loam, and then it will say for canola on, you know, depending what your soil type is. But it is putting it down and it is adjusting it. And we're going to get through a fair bit to start off with because this is the first time going down. And also with things like lime, I'm pretty sure the lime will start to decrease over 3 harvests. So you can either redo your lime every harvest, which seems excessive, or you can leave it. But that's the pulse width modulation, and it's using the various different sensors to make sure we are getting the optimum, perfect amount of nitrogen down. If I turn that off now and back up, so I don't add. It is saying top left again. If I remember, I'll zoom in. It's giving me that information. Increasing nitrogen level to optimal value for canola on sandy loam. And if we come around the back here, we're looking there, and nitrogen's in the red. If we come around here, it should be, hopefully, yeah, that nitrogen, perfect nitrogen level. And again, we're not chasing green across the field. It doesn't have to be green. Let's go back to there, and we want to go to our nitrogen, which is that one there. So you'll see whilst they've got some weird bits here. Again, I'm not sure. The same with the blue on the other bit when I had that for the pH levels. But you can see there's a different shade of green. We're not trying to get this a solid colour across the whole field. When this first came out on, was it 17? And we knew nothing about it. It was brand new. I just assumed, like all the other previous versions of the game, with all the things that you had to do, with fertilising, it was a shade of blue. With your seeding, you would put it down, it would go a certain colour. When it was ready to harvest, it would go through certain colours on the menu. So I assumed it had to be a block colour. That's what you were aiming for. So when it first came out, way back, I put down slurry, then I tried to add manure, then I tried to add solid fertiliser, and I couldn't understand why it wasn't going a solid green. Obviously, as we've learnt more and as we've moved on, that was my very first go around with it. So here we are. We're putting our nitrogen down, and that'll be the same no matter what. And what should happen then, because this is a 30-metre sprayer, when we actually come to do our when the crops grow, where these tram lines are now should be, I say should be where the tram lines will be when the crop grows. We shall see. And then that will be, hopefully, I say hopefully, because I didn't plough this, remember, we didn't plough it. Ploughing in the base game, if you plough a field, you won't get weeds come through. If you don't plough it, then you'll get various different weeds and stuff like that. Because we didn't plough, we should get weeds, and weeds are on, and then we'll get the option to try our spot application weed spraying too. So I shall see you in a moment when this is all done. This does need to be rolled as well, so what I'm going to do, once I've got my nitrogen down, I'm going to roll. I have to refill this liquid fertilizer a couple of times. And again, like I say, you can do this with solid fertilizer as well, but you're still going to need to make sure you set your width I mean, to be fair, the width, it's not as important for putting down your fertiliser. It's more for when the crops have grown. The tram lines are once your crops have grown, and if you have to come out and do any weeding, like if you're putting herbicide down, it is more for that. So you're using the tram lines that already exist. That's the immersion of it. And to be fair, it actually doesn't matter too much for doing this. You can probably sling down your fertiliser using any form you want, but obviously certain ones are better than others. What we're going to do now, how's the environmental score? 54. I mean, it should start to improve as we move forward. And again, if we press our triangle again, how are we looking? Have our numbers gone up at all? Nitrogen's still sitting as it is. Mind you, we haven't got the rest of it on. Once that's all gone, that should be all right. pH value has improved. Weed control, we haven't touched weeds yet. Soil sampling we paid for, but we've only got 2 fields. Tillage, that's got up a bit as well because we haven't tilled. That's really cool. It's only me. Just another quick test. I thought, you know what, I'm going to speed up the process. Let's pick this out. Solid fertiliser spreader at 42 metres. Now, I came across the bottom of the field here and look at the state of that. And I suddenly thought, I've got no crop sensors. I had no crop sensor on the tractor and I didn't have a front crop sensor. So I went and got the front crop sensor, which I then L1, R1, turn on or off my crop sensor. Fine. But, no, here's the weird thing. Is these patches here have nothing to do with the crop sensor. Up here, I have the crop sensor on this bit. Sorry, on this bit, off on this bit, off on this bit. The difference was not the crop sensor, the speed. So if you're going to try and speed up this process, with the crop sensor on at the moment, which it is, crop sensor is on, this will only run at a certain speed. So if I turn it on now, this will go up to, I think, oh, there you go, 11. It was going 16, I'm not quite sure why it's slowed down, but that's going 11 now, with the crop sensor turned on. And you can see we've got a nice solid green bar, so it's putting down the fertiliser exactly how I need it to. That's absolutely fine. If I turn the crop sensor off, it means I can go the full speed the vehicle goes at. Once this goes above a certain speed, and I'll keep the speed low to start off with, and I'll show you. So if we turn that back on again, and we keep our speed low, it's applying it absolutely fine. Nice solid bar, nothing to worry about. Where it starts to go a little bit janky, and we seem to get it because I guess you're going too fast for it to apply. It can't work out at the speed you're going at, which could cause a problem for people if like I say, if you want to go a bit more unrealistic. I suppose if you're going to go unrealistic, would you be doing precision farming? I don't know. Let's turn that on, do that, and now look. As soon as we speed up, look at how awful that is. Bottom left. If I slow down again, we go back to a solid bar. It does not like speed at all. So those results there come down to the speed, not the crop sensor, weirdly. And it's strange, actually, because that's lovely. That's nice and clear and solid. And our sprayer, if we run out of spray, probably seem to be doing all right. So I'm going to get the rest of this done. And then it will be a case of waiting for the crop to grow and waiting for weeds. Oh, the other thing I was going to say was as well, don't worry about if you put in a cover crop, oilseed radish, that you don't fertilise that. That doesn't need fertilising. Don't touch it, because it is putting nitrogen in the ground. That's the point of it. And because you're not harvesting it, you don't need to worry about yield. You don't have to put fertiliser down because that's going to be cultivated in. The cultivating in is what will give you, hopefully, some more pH. But again, that pH, nitrogen, but that still won't give you your full nitrogen because there'll be no crop in the ground at that point. When you cultivate it in, you'll get a bonus for doing it because it is an organic nitrogen. But you're still going to have to go over that with something to get the perfect nitrogen level for whatever it is you are actually doing. So again, sorry, quick addendum. I keep remembering all these little things, thinking, oh yeah, I must talk about that and I must add that in because there are so many facets to all of this. I don't want to miss any. Well, things are just working out absolutely perfectly. I've skipped ahead 1 month, just one, and we've got our first bits of our crop coming through the ground. We've also got weeds. Look. Now, in first growth stage, you can get rid of weeds with the various different. You can use your hoe, you can use your mechanical weeders, things like that. When they get a bit bigger, we can use a sprayer. I think we can use a sprayer at any time. So we'll try the sprayer now anyway. And what we should see happening is these pulsing on and off to remove the weeds that are there. So it will only take out the weeds that are there. We've got a lot of weeds. Well, I've also got 1 month on. Our cover crop is ready to harvest. That's on our growth. So that oilseed radish, that's ready to go. Now, I've got the cultivator over there because as far as I'm aware, we just cultivate it in. I've literally skipped ahead 1 month. Anyway, I'll show you this. And that little clip I just showed you, that is the row shut-off. When I was doing the spraying and you're going over a bit that you've already sprayed, it will shut off the section so you're not wasting any spray, overspraying areas you've already done, which is the point with that as well. So we can raise and lower our boom if we want to, depending on our crop height, but I mean we can just keep it at that height if we want, but we've got the light behind us, so what we should be able to do now is turn that on. There you go. That's our spot application for our weeds. So it's using the various different sensors on the boom. See all the different sensors there on the boom? They're reading what's ahead. Sensors on the wing mirrors as well. And they're just zapping all the weeds they notice as they go along. It reduces the amount of herbicide you're using, only puts it down where it's needed, and we're getting rid of our weeds. You notice as well, we're driving in our tram lines. If we zoom out, there's our tram lines on 30 centimetres, on 30 metres, which is what we wanted because we're using a 30-metre sprayer. It's all working exactly how it should do. That field doesn't look withered to me. I will cultivate that because I'm curious to see. I don't know when we've cultivated the field if we get our bonus. It's not a huge amount of money. You'll get more money the bigger the fields. It is that thing with the cover crop of, is it worth the time and effort? Or is it worth just, if you're going to do liquid fertiliser, because we've got those concentrate mods and stuff like that, it actually can be fairly inexpensive to do liquid fertiliser. In which case, I know it's better for the environment, it's better for everything, and doing the cover crop as well, I guess it will help with your environmental score. Talking of environmental score, while we're doing that, let's go across to here. We're up to 61, people. 61 on the environmental score. Why has our nitrogen level not gone up? We nitrogened our fields. We did them how they should. This one obviously hasn't been done yet. But everything else is gradually going up. I suppose it's when we do our harvest as well. And as the more times you go through this cycle, the better your score will become. But there you go. That's weeding. I think we've covered almost everything. Did I say I haven't been through every piece of machinery? I didn't show doing the what's the word for it? The manual soil sampling. It's a straightforward bit of kit to get used to. It really is. So what we'll do, let's turn that on, do that, and that will continue to do its weed thing. So that's doing that. So what I'm going to do now, let's switch over to the cultivating, and that'll be the final thing. At the end of the day, these crops will now grow. They'll grow fine. We've got our tram lines. Now, if you don't want tram lines, again, go back into that menu, and on the tram line thing, just leave it on none. You don't have to have tram lines. It really does add an immersion. An immersion. I've always been very kind of anti-tram line. Various different mods that have had tram lines in the past are fine, but and I know it's real world. Tram lines are real world, of course they are. But in game, it's that sort of thing of my brain says, yeah, but the problem is, think of all the crop you're losing. All those tram lines across the entire field. That's all ground that you could be growing crop on, you know? It's that obsessiveness of getting the best yield you possibly can. But that being said, doing all the things you're doing here, you should increase your yield anyway. And if you increase your environmental score, when you come to sell your crops and stuff, whatever it is you're doing, you'll get bonuses for that as well. So it all comes down to being better for the environment and the planet and all that kind of thing too. But I love that, the old tramline thing. That's pretty cool, isn't it? I like it. I wasn't sure how I'd feel about it. I'm not going to lie. I was a bit kind of, it's a bit of a gimmick, but it really does. You know, it's very cool. I remember watching Daggerwin years ago on one of his Let's Plays, and he had done a field and he'd done tram lines. I remember watching it thinking, that is so cool. and then never really did it. You know, the tramline mod was a little bit fiddly to play with, but this is straightforward. It's just in a menu setting. Anyway, I'm going to go and cultivate that field, and we'll see what happens when I finish cultivating it, whether we get paid a bonus then, or whether that's going to be you get a bonus at the end of the year or something like that. I'm not too sure. But we have done the cover crop, and you will get a bonus for it, just to point that out. So, see you in a bit when the cultivating has been done. So, ladies and gentlemen, I think we're going to be nearing the end of my guide to precision farming, such that it is. I've come into here to look at the subsidies section under the precision farming help menu, because the information that I was given that you had to have the crop in the ground in February, but then looking at the seeding, the planting and harvesting season, and it takes a month for it to grow. And as you've just seen on the clip I showed you, by putting the cover crop in, then cultivating the cover crop in, it has increased the nitrogen value on the field, which we'll go back to in just a moment. But this does say in here, planting a cover crop like oilseed radish on your field during winter can earn you subsidies of up to €200 per hectare. To qualify, ensure the field remains covered through February. So because I'm doing mine now, August, now into September, I planted it, I'm cultivating it in, I have gained the nitrogen from it, but I won't get the subsidy unless it's in the ground through February. Cover crops increase soil organic matter, improve soil fertility by capturing excess nutrients after a crop is harvested. They can raise soil moisture holding capacity, help prevent soil erosion, limit nutrient runoff, reduce soil compaction. So yeah, I haven't put them in through February because, you know, when we come into the game, we start a new game in August. So to get through that winter, if you are going to do cover crops, that's the point behind it. It's cover cropping over winter, making sure that through February your cover crop is there, then cultivating in, you'll get a bonus because you have had it in the ground in February. And that's the thing, 200 per hectare, and this is just me playing devil's advocate, and it's a subsidy, and that's the whole point behind it. That's fine. On smaller fields, is it worth it? On larger fields, again, is it worth it? You might argue, yeah, but per hectare, if you're doing a lot of hectares, that's a lot of money. But is that even going to cover the seed it costs you to put the cover crop in the ground in the first place? If it does, that's fine. But again, what you're doing is you're increasing the nitrogen level, so it's not necessarily about the money side of things, it's about doing the right thing, again, for the planet, for your fields, for precision farming, to increase your environmental score, all those things. That's the point behind doing it, not necessarily just the monetary aspect of it. So as you can see, we're cultivating this in now. If we go back to our map, go to there, you can see now how that's changed from the darker on the nitrogen to the lighter, which means we are improving the nitrogen by doing the cover crop. We just won't get the subsidy because it wasn't in the ground during February. Like I say, if I know I will have missed something, and I said right at the start, it is a whistle-stop guide to look through precision farming, kind of going from start through all the various different steps of doing it. We've seen the pulse width modulation, We've seen the various different things in operation. Yes, there's more to dive into. Yes, there's more equipment and machinery that can do these various different things. A lot of people messaged me yesterday to say that they were using modded equipment and the sensors and stuff weren't available on modded stuff. They probably won't be unless the modder goes in and adjusts their mod to allow for them. It's only going to be, as far as I'm aware, base game equipment, unless modders have preemptively done it, but I don't see how they would have managed to do that. So there you go. I hope you found all of this useful and informative in some way, shape or form. If you have, please give us a like. If you don't subscribe yet, please do. If you want to leave a comment, feel free, and if you want to share this video, then of course please be my guest. Whatever you should choose to do, thanks for watching.